We are continuously evolving. Their processes are not as evolved. Now, we've gotten better over the years. The processes have gotten better. You need more structure, but you want to stay nimble and agile and really be a startup and lead the way and think strategically, but at the same time be able to do tactical things. So all these things require, it can be rolled into one person usually. And so what I find is that you want to define in your executives, what is that, can you scale up to the 40,000 foot? Can you come down to the minutiae? Because it requires you to roll up your sleeves and execute on whatever it is that you're doing. And at the same time, you have the ability to make decisions on the fly or bring people together to make those decisions.
Welcome to Grow Think Tank. This is the one and only place where you will get insight from the founders and the CEOs of the fastest growing privately held companies. I am the host. My name is Gene Hammett. I help leaders and their teams navigate the defining moments of their growth. Are you ready to grow?
Today, we're going to look at hiring good people. What does it take for you to be able to attract the right people to your company? How do you develop them? How do you lead them? All unpacked in today's episode. Our special guest is Rathna Sharad, and she is the founder and CEO of FlavorCloud. They are an international shipping, friction-free. They're really trying to streamline the cross-border issues that are going on for logistics. And so that's the company that we have today. Rathna and I had a really great conversation. One of the phrases she used was the people that got you here may not be the people that take you to that next level. And so it's a struggle that a lot of people have. And so hopefully you'll lean in today's episode. One of the things that we talked about was what are high performing people or good people attracted to? And so you want to look at these and see where your company is performing or underperforming in these areas. Great conversation with Rathna. Happy to share it with you on the podcast today. My name is Gene Hammett. I am an executive coach. We do leadership development for managers that want to be leaders, and we also do cultural transformations. All that wraps up into we help companies that are in growth mode continue to grow because everything's evolving. Culture evolves, communication evolves, leadership evolves. All of it evolves. You may think that it's just the same. Just keep running the play. I will remind you, it doesn't. As I mentioned before, the people that got you here may not be the people who get you to the next level. And you've got to continue to evolve as a CEO. That's part of the coaching. And then we've also got to develop and lift up each one of those managers and the directors and the VPs of our company to really be the leaders that we need them to be. And so if we can help you in any way, make sure you reach out to us. Gene at Gene Hammett is your best path forward on that. One other way to kind of connect with us is through virtual conversations. Every month we have a different topic. If you want to check out what the next topic is, it's really around culture. Culture is everything, I think is the kind of working title for that. But you can go to coreelevation.com/virtual conversations and you can find out what the next topic is. If it resonates with you, sign up. If it doesn't resonate with you, you can sign up. We'll get you a recording of that. We'll get you a good world-class summary so that you can just take it in really quickly. But we would encourage you to show up for any of those that you feel like really would help you grow as a leader and as an organization. And just go to coreelevation.com/virtual conversations. Now, here's the conversation and interview with Rathna. Rathna, how are you?
I'm great, Gene. How are you?
I am fantastic. We're going to have a great conversation about, hiring the right people for growth. And it really is going to be fun. Before we get into that, tell us about your company, FlavorCloud.
Yeah, FlavorCloud is a cross-border enablement platform. So what we do is make international shipping easy, affordable, and friction-free for brands, third-party logistics providers, anywhere in the world.
Well, I know that shipping and logistics have made some changes over the years, and I know AI is kind of playing into this. Is there anything you can tell us about what you see on the horizon for your industry?
Yeah, so the way to think about what we do is, especially cross-border commerce, is It's a very nascent greenfield industry. It's a massive business problem. This is 7+ trillion commerce problem. So this is a very exciting, continuously evolving space. It is very antiquated, and manual and error prone, and you've got 220 plus countries around the world with different regulatory compliance and trade regulations. So I look at this as a super interesting, massive business problem that's ripe for AI and automation. And that's essentially what we do. We automate the three core pain points of cross-border, which is shipping, customs, and compliance, if you will.
Love it. Well, we're not here to talk about your company per se, as fascinating as it is. We're here to talk about your leadership, the culture, the people, and specifically, I know that you've gone through our gauntlet to be prepared for the show. We're going to talk about hiring good people.
Mhm.
What do you think it takes to hire good people in today's market?
Yeah, so a little bit of a context here, I think, just in terms of our company. We're a little over 50 people right now, 53. And I've been through the stages, the startup stages, if you will, of seed, Series A, and now Series B. It is a very interesting journey that I find, where the people that you need at each stage are quite different. And we've been around, I'd say, 6.5 years now, but the company has been a completely different company every year. And I think the most challenging as well as interesting aspect here is that you need to find the right people at every stage. Sometimes it is the same person that can scale and grow and really evolve with the company. But at other times, it is, you need a different person because it's a different company.
There's a great book out there. Marshall Goldsmith wrote it. You've probably heard it before. You may not even read it, but everyone kind of quotes it. What got you here won't get you there. And
Yes.
I've said this in my coaching for years. The people that got you to this point may not be the people who get you to the next one. It takes a different level of thinking, strategy, a
Yeah.
little bit more proactive.
Yeah.
Is that kind of what you're talking about as your company has evolved?
Absolutely. I think you evolve as a company in many different ways. It's not just revenue growth. It's also in terms of the ICP, the ideal customer. You start somewhere and then you evolve, and the problem evolves. And we're in a space as well that is evolving, like e-commerce is evolving and cross-border is evolving.
Yeah.
So you, as a technology SaaS company, you evolve with it. And so skill sets evolve, and how you do business. And now you got COVID in the midst and remote environments, and you have all these different facets that were not normal before, but now that's the norm. And so you're hiring for very different skills.
I've had 1,000+ interviews on this show, and we've not really talked in depth about this. So I appreciate you bringing this up, because I know a lot of my clients have struggled with it, and it could be an executive team that no longer serves at the capacity for the continued growth. Like the company you started when you're 4 million, and you develop those people, and now you're 40 million.
Yeah.
Could be a very different team, but you want to hire from within. How do you wrestle with that with your own journey of being an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I think that's one that I wrestle with all the time, and I think there are learnings there. Every single time we make mistakes, and you learn from it, and that's the great thing about startups, right? Hiring is, I think, is one of those things that I've seen evolve the most in terms of how I think about executive leadership, managers in the company, or even just hiring the right people who are the right fit for our company. I think is so important. So you made startup fit is something a lot of people talk about. Yes, you want to look for folks that are not, that can be in this environment where it's super agile, we are continuously evolving. Their processes are not as evolved. Now, we've gotten better over the years. The processes have gotten better. You need more structure, but you want to stay nimble and agile and really be a startup and lead the way, and think strategically, but at the same time be able to do tactical things. So all these things require, it can be rolled into one person usually. And so what I find is that you want to define in your executives, what is that, can you scale up to the 40,000 foot? Can you come down to the minutiae? Because it requires you to roll up your sleeves and execute on whatever it is that you're doing. And at the same time, you have the ability to make decisions on the fly or bring people together to make those decisions. I've seen that be very different skill sets over the years. So when we were, 2 years in, it was a different leader that was necessary for the company. Now, when you have a go-to-market organization that you're leading, you need a lot of expertise where you've done this before. You bring some of those skills, but at the same time, you have enough of a challenge to go do things and figure things out. So yeah, I'd say it's all of those things.
Now, I've got to break in here for a second. We were discussing what got you here may not get you there. Marshall Goldsmith wrote a great book around this, and you can read the book and go deeper with this, or you can just take this little bit of dose of medicine, if you will, that the people that got you here may not be the people that get you there. We're always changing. Maybe it's critical thinking. Maybe it's being proactive. Maybe it's they've fallen out of alignment, not evolved to the point where you're. And I know it's a struggle. I work with clients on this all the time. I get it. We want to reward loyalty, but I've got to remind you, if you've had the tough conversations with people, if you've had given them the feedback, if you've given them the performance reviews and they're not getting it, they're not evolving, they're not stepping up, they're not leaning into this opportunity, then you have to ask yourself, are they ready for this reward you're going to give them by allowing them to stay on the journey with you? Or do you need to replace them? I know it's tough. I would reward loyalty all the time, but it may not be always the right case. People may not be the people that you have may not be the people that you need as a company grows to that next level. So keep that in mind. Back to Rathna. I'm glad you brought it up. It is a real challenge because I do see that loyalty should be rewarded. But I also look at the other side. Like if they're not continuing to evolve at the pace that the company's evolving, they're not thinking strategically, then you have to have those tough conversations, which, I told you that's one of my next books that's coming out. But I really appreciate you talking about that. I want to switch gears a little bit because hiring good people, it's a couple of different things, or it's more than just a couple, but just the two top of mind are you've got to create a place that the good people want to come to. And then you've also got to find the right process of hiring. Which of these would you like to tackle first? The being the place that people are attracted to, or the process of hiring?
I think the first one, because I think, most of all, I want this to be the most exciting place people come to because they're going to grow the most. I think that is one of the fundamental things I think about. This is an exciting place. You're going to have the leeway to go do things, figure things out, and really get the most out of the tenure. Careers are long, but your stint at FlavorCloud, I want that to be the most memorable thing. Is it a long tenure? Is it a short tenure? Whatever that is, I want it to be the most impactful, right? You came in, you learned the most, you grew the most, you got a lot out of it, and hopefully you're continuing to grow with the company. But even if you choose to leave and go, we just had someone leave to go start a company, and that's a fantastic thing. It makes me happy that, you learn something and you go and do something else that's bigger, better, greater, whatever that might be.
A lot of people think that pay and benefits are the most important thing in attracting talent. I don't think it is. I think it's a factor for sure because they're looking for the right package. They want to be rewarded, but they really are looking for growth. When you're actually interviewing these top level people, do they tell you that they're looking for the kinds of growth they're looking for, or do you have to pull it out of them?
I look for that. If you're not looking for growth, this probably isn't the right place for you.
Yeah.
If you aren't asking me questions about that, if you're not curious about how you're
Mhm.
going to grow, and come to the table with, ideas on what you want to accomplish and why you want to accomplish it, then it probably isn't the right fit. Because to your point, there's lots of places you could go where they're going to pay a lot better than startups do. Now, I care a lot about equitable pay, and we have great options to say that we're comparable to the industry and better than the industry, and we think about all of that. And I care about diversity in how we hire, and make sure that there's transparency around it and all of that. But ultimately, you're not coming here for pay. You're coming here because this is an exciting thing and you get to do things. And if you're not really 100% here for that, I think you're not going to enjoy the work.
Now, I'm going to break in again here. We've been talking about growth and what do employees really want? I can tell you from my perspective, I work with a lot of companies where the managers wanted to be better managers. In fact, they want to be leaders. And the company didn't have the resources to actually teach them how to be better leaders. They didn't know how to do it. They were just thinking they would learn it on the job. And I've noticed that these managers that want to grow are hungry. They might read a book or two, they might be able to apply a few things, but what they really need is coaching and support. They need a higher level of confidence. They need to really take their own identity to that next level. And if that's something you feel like is you're struggling with, I'd love to talk to you about it in your organization, because that's one of the things that we do is helping employees grow. And it really is one of the elements that people are looking for. If you had a leadership program and you would be able to talk about the value of that and the impact that it's made, I bet you would have more people attracted to joining your company and joining you for the growth journey that you're on. Back to Rathna. Rathna, this reminds me of my initial career. I graduated in engineering from Georgia Tech, and I didn't want to be an engineer. I wanted to be a consultant. I know it's not the glorious path that everyone chooses, but I just wanted like this real opportunity to be involved with a lot of different opportunities, a lot of different types of projects. And that's what I got when I went to strategy consulting. And then I moved up twice in my corporate career over 10 years. So I didn't like hop businesses. I stayed with it for 2 to 3 years each, but it was all because of growth.
Mhm.
It wasn't the salary. I didn't get paid. I got paid literally at the bottom tier, probably in my thing, but I knew that I was trying to get the skills to be an entrepreneur, but I didn't have the idea yet. And
Mhm.
you talking about how important this is. And I think a lot of companies are missing out on how important growth is for that employee.
Yeah.
My question for you next is really about selecting these people. Like, is there a process or things that you guys have learned in your journey to this point about hiring good people?
Oh yeah, lots of lessons, and we've learned it the hard way too. And we continuously learn. I don't think this is, this is something that we feel like we're there. It is a continuous process, and like I said, what we look for has evolved as well. So I expect that to change between this year and next. We'll be looking for a slightly different type of person, but ultimately, it is about our, our core values at
Mhm.
FlavorCloud. I think it's really important for companies to have those core values be around who is that individual that can be successful here. They may be fantastic in a different environment, in a different startup, but can they be, thriving here in our company? And I think that is the hard thing to figure out. We've made mistakes, we've learned the hard way, but we've figured out how to get better at it. It's as much us informing the employee of what to expect in this environment and see if they can thrive in that environment. They have the right qualities to do that, because remote is not easy for everybody. Being in, a 50% startup, if you haven't done it before, is again, hard. If you're coming from a large corporate environment, this is not going to be the place you thrive. And if you're used to structure, everything being really defined and you doing just what your role says you would do. Again, this is not the place for that. So we looked for things like curiosity and ability to work in and this might be for most startups, really. You need to be able to thrive in an environment where there's uncertainty, like every day there's something new. Can you actually be be able to, can you prioritize in that environment? Can you think about what your priorities are? How do you execute in that environment? How do you work across functions in that environment and get consensus and do it all in a way where you're moving very, very fast, right? So these are the things that we look for, and specific to FlavorCloud core values, where we look for collaboration, and there are 6 core values for us that really make someone tick. So I think we've gotten better. I don't know that we're great yet.
Now, Rathna's been talking about direct feedback, and I cannot agree with her more that it's really important for you as a leader to be able to give feedback early and often. And so one reason I wrote this with my wife, How to Have Tough Conversations, this book really will change the way you give feedback, the way you engage in the tough conversations around it, because it's very empathetic, and it's very much based on a framework. We asked hundreds and hundreds of people about the frameworks and the tools they use for these tough conversations, and they didn't have anything. So we created it for you. So if you're curious about that, check out the book, How to Have Tough Conversations. You can buy it on Amazon. You can buy Audible. You can buy it on Kindle. You can buy it on paperback or even hardcover. So get How to Have Tough Conversations at Amazon today. Back to Rathna. Well, I mean, what I'm hearing is you understand the importance of this, the values. I've done hundreds of these things, so I hear this quite often. And those that are new to the show, let me just remind you, like, the core values is many different touch points, all the way from job descriptions through the hiring process, the onboarding, and it really is a cortical. You really want to live those values, and you want people that are naturally a fit for them. They're not, forcing it. I got one more question for you as we wrap up, Rathna. Leading good people is not easy. They're confident. They're strong-headed. They're, sometimes difficult. They believe what they believe. They see it one way. You may see it a different way. What have you learned about leading really good people in your journey so far?
Yeah, people, end of the day, are people. So you treat them with respect. You could be reporting to them one day, is always how I think about it, right? You want to have great relationships. I collect people. So there are a lot of folks that, over the years, they've been my advisors, coaches, they're on my board, they're my go-to, they're on the team. So it really is about long-term relationships and treating people with respect, but also being very direct and transparent and real time. I think with feedback is one of the things that I always hold dear. It is not about, it's not about saying you're going to have a review cycle and you're going to do this, annually. It really is about direct and continuous feedback and being open and transparent with folks in terms of how we lead. And I think that is the most important trait, I think, that I've expected from other leaders, and certainly one I want, not just me, but the whole leadership team to demonstrate.
Very well said. Rathna, thank you for being here on the podcast, sharing your perspective of hiring good people as your company continues to scale.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Jim.
Wow, what a great interview. I love talking to her about hiring good people. When you think about your journey as a company, you've got to hire good people if you want to continue to grow. And you've got to hire better people. You've got to hire people that have that culture fit. You've got to hire people that truly are aligned to the mission, the values of the company. All of that was discussed in today's episode with Rathna. So I appreciate you leaning into this. Hopefully you got some insight out of it. I enjoyed it, and hopefully you did too. When you think of growth and you think of leadership, think of Growth Think Tank. As always, lead with courage. We'll see you next time.